Talking about the trends in school discipline over the last 25 years sounds like how the nation was dealing with crime. Schools took a get tough, sometimes zero tolerance approach, not just on kids bringing guns to school or for violent attacks, but suspensions for things like tardiness, dress code violations, disruption, disrespect, and defiance. And more schools were turning kids over to the police for things that used to be handled in school or with parents. And maybe, yes, things have changed since we were in school.
Society has changed. The rules of society have changed.
We know that the days of a teacher standing in the classroom and yelling at students and getting their attention, they're over.
While dealing with behavior varies from district to district, school to school, teacher to teacher, here's what jumps out: the so-called discipline gap. A nationwide study of the 2011-12 school year showed that black students, Latinos, Native Americans, kids with disabilities were overall disciplined at far higher rates than white kids.
It led off into me being out in the streets and just making bad decisions.
Compared to other states, the discipline gap in Missouri was large. 27% of the black high school students got out-of-school suspensions that year, about 7% of the white kids. But look at the elementary school suspensions. Just under 2% of the white kids were suspended that year, 14% of the black kids. That was the biggest grade school racial disparity in the entire country.
They're losing time in classroom, they're losing instructional time.
St. Louis University professor Norman White is not just researching school discipline. He's working in 7 city elementary schools to develop better approaches.
You know, if you only send somebody away and you don't give them a chance to learn, if you don't make that a learning opportunity, then how do I avoid this in the future? What you've done essentially is you've just set up a delay for the next time it's going to happen because you really haven't counseled around it, you haven't worked through it.
Some schools are employing practices that try rewarding good behavior before they punish bad. They're having students themselves work to resolve issues and disputes that lead to fights. And kids do have issues, especially those coming from economically and emotionally impoverished backgrounds, experiencing stress and trauma that can play out in the classroom, the playground, the cafeteria.
Can't educate somebody who has these other needs as well, or you're not going to educate them well.
Natalie Henderson was an elementary school principal in the city for 6 years.
You know, we went to school to be teachers or to be administrators, not necessarily therapists. And so, but you have to become that, you know, to support the kids and the families.
And while background, culture, socioeconomic status, mental health, they're all factors in the discipline gap, you've got to talk about race and bias. Is there evidence to suggest that if you and I are in the same classroom, black kid, white kid, acting like stupid kids in the same way, that you would be more likely to be punished or more severely punished than me because I'm a white kid?
There's substantial evidence to that effect, and it's been found that black kids get those bad outcomes just routinely.
For the same
For the
infractions.
same exact infractions.
Districts tackling this issue are asking teachers and principals to examine their own attitudes.
You know where our mindsets are, what background we're bringing into the situation. And so it's not an easy, like, boom, we have it fixed. It's a process, and I think it's something most of us seems like we're working on.
I'm a criminologist, and there's some people that have asked me why would a criminologist be in schools worrying about suspensions. There's a substantial amount of research that shows that kids who have been suspended are much more likely to be the serious violent offenders as they've got when they get older. If we can't create success in the schools for kids, we do that at a detriment.